Godwin, thank you very much. Appreciate your time and speaking to India Today. We understand the emotion that you may feel right now, losing a friend, a dear friend. Shraddha, we believe, has been going through an abusive relationship. A photograph that we see here in the latest showing her bruised face from 2020. She was then admitted to a hospital with a back injury, a spine injury, with all these bruises, yet decided to go back to Aftab. And that's what we're not able to understand. What was so magical about this man who was so abusive that she, despite advices coming from all the friends like you, would go back into that relationship?
The last incident which happened way back in November 2020 is when Shraddha had approached me when Aftab had tried to choke her to death. And immediately when we came to know about this situation, we had rushed her to the nearest police station, which is Tulin's police station at Nalaspara East. And the entire day since afternoon till night, Shraddha was with me. And what had happened is Aftab was trying to call her back to back. And because he was trying to call her back to back, he even happened to record some voice messages and even call by saying, if you don't come home, I will suicide. And that was one thing which had ideally got Shraddha confused, because she wanted help and this guy was emotionally blackmailing her that if you do not return home, I will kill myself.
Godwin, from the looks of it then, I would believe that this man Aftab was crazily possessive. Was he a possessive boyfriend? Did he ensure that he made Shraddha cut off from all her friends, especially male friends? Was he of that kind of nature?
Absolutely correct, because the time when I had got to know her during this incident, I had seen Aftab with many girls within the vicinity on his bike. But when Shraddha used to talk to any male friend or male colleague, he used to be very possessive and try to disconnect her from everyone. And that was the only reason why she does not have any friends or did not had any friends in the past. And he even managed to just keep her away from her own family.
How did he possibly do that? How did he influence her to such an extent that Shraddha decided to cut off from her family members? Would you know that Shraddha was fighting to be with him, with the family? We understand that the family asked her to let go of Aftab, but she insisted to stay in the relationship, and that's what eventually resulted in their in the family and her connections straining.
Because initially when the discussion was happening, she told me that Aftab had promised her to get married. But eventually we came to know there is another big reason behind this nonsense, what was happening, because he was highly influenced under drugs. And whenever Shraddha used to go ahead and tell him not to do it, he used to just whack her, physically assault her, and then emotionally call his own parents and ask his mom and dad to call Shraddha. And Aftab's mom and dad used to call Shraddha and emotionally tell her, because this happened in front of me. The same night, this horrific incident happened on 23rd November 2020, when Aftab's mom and dad had called her to her house at Vasai West, and they used to tell her, if you leave this guy, he will become psychotic. You are the only female that he has been with so long. And we believe if you get married, he will be a better man tomorrow. And that was the only reason why she was giving a second chance every now and then. And because she's herself disconnected from her family, she found a mother and a father in Aftab's mom and dad.
Oh my God. You know, Godwin, you've given us some really serious information here, which the police might just use to help in their probe. As we know, you say that Aftab was on drugs. Do you know what kind of drugs he would do? And was Shraddha also accompanying him with that?
Initially, she had one of the videos in her phone, which she did not share with us. She had told me clearly, if something comes to her life and death, that is the time when she will be sharing that video to the world, because that was the only escape point she had. And I do not know if the police have Shraddha's phone or no, but if that phone is available, I'm sure the police should recover that video, where that video will leave us with a lot of evidences of what this guy was up to in the past. And I do not think it's an accident which has happened, because this has been repeatedly done. The incident which happened in 2020, for me, it was the first incident. But as per Shraddha, that was like the 14th or the 15th incident. So which means this guy is a repeated offender. So he was trying to kill her. Unfortunately, he was not successful. And this time, he's been successful. So are we trying to say that it is just a matter of ego or a fight or things? So this is a repeated offender where he is under the influence of drugs. And a person who is very psychotic in nature will end up doing this kind of behavior.
Yeah, that's precisely why my question here. Would you know what kind of drugs he was on? And was this regular usage? Was he on drugs every day?
Very often, because they used to party during weekends. That is what Shraddha used to tell me. His friends, colleagues used to come over, Aftab's male friend especially. And I am not into drugs, or I do not know the terminology. But Shraddha had used one term that he used to make brownies and sell them. And that was there in his fridge and in his washroom also hidden.
I'm assuming if these are hash brownies, he was heavily into weed, hash, hashish, and all sorts of other things. That's just the start, and then he could have possibly had
Absolutely.
a lot more, chemical drugs. And those are party drugs. If you're saying that they were partying, then that also could be as part of the, a buffet of drugs that he may have had. Go on.
In fact, just to add to that, there were instances where late midnight, by like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., some males used to come to Shraddha's house to collect drugs, and Aftab used to supply them. And that was the behavior which Shraddha did not like, but that was paying him heavily. Aftab used to make a lot of money. Imagine a food
he was a peddler. He was a drug peddler. Could we safely call him a drug peddler too?
See, I would call him, because that duration when I was talking with Shraddha, I didn't have evidences. But the traces right now, what has happened, I can possibly say that's correct.
We India Today spoke to a doctor, Godwin, and he spoke about how Shraddha gave him a call during the pandemic and told him that she was slightly depressed. He also said that Shraddha spoke to him about Aftab's anger, etc. But I'd like to know from you, has Shraddha ever confided to her friends or to you about her depression? Was she depressed?
Absolutely yes, because before I could get to know her, her lifestyle used to be, she was a hippie in the sense she used to like traveling, hiking, all by herself. No company, no gang, no group, nothing at all. And since the time Aftab came in her life, Aftab had to just get her grounded, and grounded in the sense that 24/7 she has to be in front of his eyesight. And that used to make her lethargic, because as far as I knew Shraddha, after that conversation, we had a couple of other conversation, late midnight calls as well. She was a person who used to like to travel, and her next travel destiny also was Nepal. She wanted to travel to Nepal. And she was asking me if you have any friends or colleague who can give me more insight, because she wanted to travel all by herself, solo traveler. And eventually, this was the behavior which Aftab did not like, because he was very possessive. And immediately when she used to even talk to me, he wouldn't want she talking to me as well.
Was there an attempt by Shraddha, on the contrary, to leave Aftab? Did she really attempt to get rid of him? Because I can only imagine how frustrated she may have been. And because of his behavior, that could have largely been the impact on her mental health. She may have been depressed only because of the way and mannerisms that Aftab exuberated.
Am I still audible?
Go on, Godwin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Am I audible?
Yeah, you are audible. What I was asking you, did Shraddha really want to leave Aftab at any given point of time? Because I know the kind of behavior he, of course, exuberated must have had a real, adverse mental impact on her.
See, honestly, she wanted to leave him, but because Aftab had a bigger impression on her by disconnecting her from the outside world, her family, her friends, now even if she wanted to leave her, she wanted some kind of support. The initial support that she got from us was in 2020, but this guy still managed to influence her and blackmail her by saying, I will kill myself, my mom dad wants to talk to you. She tried that. I can feel that, I can understand that, because I was there in the situation that day. I was there with her full day. If someone did not wanted to leave, I am sure that person wouldn't have walked up to a stranger, discussed the entire situation what happened since day one till today, and even walked up to the police station. If someone well decided to leave him, would take that step. And I'm sure this guy might have gone ahead and blackmailed her again and got her back. Where after that instance, there were very less conversation that I and Shraddha shared.
You know, if we can really get to this image here that we see, Godwin, this image really showing Shraddha's completely bruised face, her nose, her cheeks, her eyes swollen, her neck fully bruised. Would you know of this assault that took place? Did she ever complain of any kind of pain or injury that she had incurred at that point? We believe she was also hospitalized.
Honestly, the image that you all are circulating is the later image to what had happened that day when she met me. Unfortunately, our phones have been changed. My phone has been recently changed, so we have lost that photograph. Am I still audible?
Yeah, you are audible. Go on.
Hello?
Go on, Godwin.
So the physical appearance when she had come to my house, below her cheekbone, all right, on her cheekbone, the entire blood clot was there of a blow given right on her face, all right. On her neck, there were strangling marks because she was very fair, so you can easily make out all the blood clots were there. And on her waist, lower waist, she had blood clots. And that was clearly signs of physical abuse. And that is the same situation when we had taken her to the police station.
You know, I'm totally shocked with the kind of treatment that Shraddha has received from this man. But I'd still like to ask you, did she come to you and ever cry and weep about the situation that she's in and that she may have been completely helpless and not being able to get out? Is there anything that he held as hostage? When it comes to money, did Aaftab have any kind of control over her finances, and which is why it all the more, you know, kept her in that relationship?
I just knew things in bits and pieces because they were sharing an apartment over here as a living partner, and every appliances in the house was taken on loan, and the primary loan owner was Shraddha, but they used to split the loan. That is what I came to know. And this guy used to make money in the wrong way, and he used to make a lot of money, obviously. And when he got more possessive, he even wanted to join the same company where Shraddha was working, so that she doesn't interact with other people. He had made her life miserable, doesn't flee away.
You know why I ask you that is because Shraddha's family members say that that Aaftab had complete control over her finances. He kept extorting money from her repeatedly. In fact, he ensured that Shraddha stayed away from her own family so that she could demand money as and when, and because the family had worried for her, they would give that money too. And it was all Aaftab behind it.
I can somewhat say that because initially when they wanted to plan for a trip as well, Aftab had asked her money and she had to go back to her family and ask money. And Aftab used to do it every often, and that travel was not the hiking travel that she wanted to do all by herself. It was party that he wanted to do with his friends over the weekend.
All right. So he used extensively her money to enjoy himself. And you know, I'm sure you've been watching the developments in the news, Godwin, on how Aaftab went on to date many girls even post the murder. So he was quite a flamboyant guy, wanted to meet with girls, get on dating apps, you know, go about doing his business.
Even tell you, I can even tell you because Shraddha and Aaftab met on a dating app which was Bumble. All right. And even after dating and living together, Aaftab was still on the dating website, by the way.
Oh, he was still on the dating platform despite being in a relationship with Shraddha. And did Shraddha know about it?
She is the one who told me about it, and she had confronted Aaftab on the same, that when I am out of that platform, why are you not? So he said, it's just the profile, I'm inactive on it.
That's rubbish. I mean, clearly he had quite a life. He wanted to go about doing his you know, activity as a single man. So he was quite a cheater, never faithful in the relationship, very possessive, and despite all that, wanted Shraddha to be completely loyal and present and give him the undivided attention.
Absolutely correct, because before Shraddha also, he had given Shraddha the count that he had almost 10 girlfriends, and he used to have almost 3 to 4 girlfriends at the same time.
Oh. So quite a player there. And, you know, from what what I would like to ask you, Godwin, at this point, Aftab, we know, was violent in that relationship. He would abuse Shraddha, etc. But was he? What was his behavior otherwise to people people outside? Or have you ever conversed with him? What was his behavior to those outsiders?
I have never interacted with him. In fact, the same night when this incident had happened in November, Shraddha had requested me, because he was blackmailing her that I will kill myself, I will suicide. So Shraddha had requested me, can you just order dinner and deliver it to his house? And I had personally gone and given the food to Aftab. And that is the same time when he took the delivery and he threw it away, saying, I don't want it, whoever ordered it, whoever has ordered has to come home. And that is what was my last interaction with Aftab.
You know, and from the looks of it here, it clearly shows that this relationship has been full of hate, full of toxicity and assault and violence, etc. But we still can't get over the fact that Shraddha wasn't willing to leave from that relationship. How often did you keep in touch with her? And any idea on the last 5 to 6 months? We believe that she was murdered on 18th of May. Before that, when was the last you spoke to Shraddha, Godwin?
Yes. The last interaction might be way back in 2021 only, end of the year, I guess, end of the year. Where that time she had switched the company and she was getting a better salary. She also got promotion. So she was very happy and she wanted to just share that feeling with me. And we had a late night conversation for about 3 to 4 hours. And that was the only conversation I recollect. That was the last conversation I had with her. And that time they were even planning to fly off to Dubai. That is what she had told me, because they were minting good money.
Minting good money what? By selling drugs? As what I gather from you here, that Aftab was selling drugs. He was a drug peddler. This is something that the police must investigate. This is in fact another whole line of investigation.
Absolutely, because that guy was still unemployed. Imagine an unemployed person handling a family, handling a house, having a lot of loan on his head. How is he managing the expenses? He is not a well-known food blogger. Food blogger is a shock to me, because he was not even doing any content anywhere. So what kind of source he had to get daily money? Was he working? His family was not even helping him financially.
You know, Godwin, I fail to understand, what was the reason for Shraddha and Aftab to move from Mumbai to Himachal, Uttarakhand and then to Delhi? What was this, you know, hopping business? Why did he take her there and then come back to the national capital? Were they indecisive on where they want to finally settle?
I believe the only reason that might have happened because his reputation has gone for a toss within the vicinity that has been staying over here, because every used to be fight, and because late night people used to come buy stuff from him. So he had to change his location to just make sure that no one comes to know what exactly he does. And if I take it in the wrong sense, he might have already planned things in the back of his mind, and that is why he wanted to be away, because the only person she ever knew was Aftab, because apart from him, there was no one in contact with her. On and off, we used to be there, but we were not that closely connected that every night or every alternate day we used to talk. So it was very easy for him to plan things, take her out of the state, because she's already isolated. Tomorrow, if someone goes missing, who is there to care for that person?
He knew that very well, that she was vulnerable. She had no contact with her family, and he had managed to successfully get her to cut off ties with most of her friends. So this was really setting the stage for a murder of this nature. You know, Godwin, I'd really like to stress on this. Would you believe that this is a premeditated murder? Was this planned in much in advance? Does it appear like that to you?
1000% yes. The reason why? Because his family has been in Vasai West, where the last location which I knew. They have been there from ages, never left that place, never gone anywhere. But as per the news sources that I keep on reading every day, before the murder, 15 days prior, his family shifted somewhere. Why will his family move? Because he knew that in his back of his mind, something is going to take place. He had to secure his mom and dad. That is how they shifted.
Oh, so you're saying Aftab's parents moved from the apartment that they were staying for over 30 years just 15 days before Aftab murdered Shraddha. Is that right?
That is correct. That is as per the news sources that I've read. I have not personally known anyone from Aftab's side. I'm just going as per the news which has been rolled out. So the last thing I know is his family has shifted from Vasai and moved out somewhere else. And obviously they are partly taken part of this crime. They are equally responsible for this. They could foresee this happening. They could have easily stopped it.
I mean, imagine they, in fact, coaxed her to stay in the relationship, you know, saying that you're the only one who can take care of him, you're the only one who can change him, you know, those kind of things, while knowing very well that he was an abusive boy. They should know their son better than Shraddha.
See, every parent would support their kid. I am not saying anything wrong about a parent going ahead and supporting their kids. I understand once, twice, but if it has happened more than 10, 15 times, I think your son or your daughter needs some medical support. And you shouldn't go ahead and get another person tied up to that person by saying, take, this is the sheep you need to eat and you'll survive on this. It's not that how it works, right? You are just sacrificing one person because you need to be saved.
No, this is absolutely ridiculous. If the parents of Aftab tried to coax her into staying in the relationship, that then they're as guilty. They should be as guilty, because from what we know that they aren't
should be
allowing
equally punished for this.
Yeah. They're not allowing anybody inside their house right now. They're all very close, not communicating to anyone except for the police, Aftab's parents. But that apart, I'd like to ask you here. What do you think has gone wrong in the entirety of this case, Godwin? They met on this app called Bumble. People now are very, very worried to even get on a dating app because you don't know what's at the receiving end. So, you know,
absolutely.
From the looks of this, what's the takeaway for you as a friend?
As a friend, I would not blindly disconnect from my family and trust another person who I've never known. If you have to know someone, you do your homework, you go ahead, verify, you do not disconnect from the world. If you have to make someone part of your life, just add that person. Do not separate people who are already part of your life. Doing that will lead you into trouble. If you have been brought up in a family for 20, 25 years, be grateful to them that they have given you a better lifestyle. Do not just disconnect for the blind love that you have. Yeah, being a teenage in 20s, mid-20s, you have infatuation, you have crush, but that doesn't mean it's a love that you need to die for.
And that quite literally happened. She was killed for it.
Literally happened.
Godwin, would you be able to give us a quick glimpse into Shraddha's family and Aftab? Do they have siblings, brother, sister? What's their equation like in terms of that?
Aftab, I'm not sure. I only knew about his mom and dad. But in terms of Shraddha, Shraddha has a younger brother who is too young. I think there is a couple of years age gap. And I only knew about her father, and they are well-to-do in terms of business. He had some cable business, as far as she told me.
So he was pulling out money because of that. It appears that he got a golden egg, and he was hoping to get enough and more extract out of her. Right, because post the murder, we believe that he transferred 54,000 from her account to his account. All right, Godwin, there very explicit about what's happened. Godwin, if you're with me, can you hear me? Go on.
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Go on.
So normally in today's world, we call girls gold digger. But here, this is the first time where I'd seen a boy doing the same thing and still did not leave that girl in one piece. He should have let her go, or he was getting what he wanted, right? He wanted money, he was getting it. He was getting it drugs. I don't think he should have sacrificed someone's life for it.
No, I believe that he's clearly a psycho. That's thoroughly established. But
absolutely,
I still want to,
absolutely.
But could you give me a quick glimpse on how he was with the rest of them? Was he very, normal, very confident? I hear that he was a very extremely confident person. Pretended like he didn't know Hindi, by the way. One of the doctors said he came to him to get his injury fixed post the murder, and he did not talk in Hindi. He was only talking in English, saying he does not know Hindi. Is that true?
No, he spoke to me in Hindi. He spoke to Shraddha in Hindi. And obviously, he has to leave no traces. So he will act as per his story that he is planned for, right? So if I talk to you in Hindi, I might stammer, I might do something, I might talk to you in a language which you do not reciprocate. And that is the easiest way of me getting out. You just get your wounds done, you get your bandage done, you just get out from the place. Easy escape.
Yeah, this guy is quite a smart man. He's managed to, he's confessed to the police of his crime, but there's enough and more that he's already, erased off as evidence. And the police, of course, now will have to corroborate his confession with proof to the court for strict and harshest punishment to be meted out against him. Well, thank you very much, Godwin. Really appreciate your time for joining us here on India Today.